If you're going through the hiring process with Walmart, you might go through the aptitude test. Let me share with you some typical questions, answers, and solutions, as well as tips, tricks, and hacks that will get you hired.
There are different types of questions you might see as part of Walmart hiring test. But most frequently, candidates encounter numerical reasoning, logical reasoning, math, charts and graphs, and abstract reasoning questions.
Hi there, this is Vadim Michalenko, and in this video I'll share with you how to pass an employment assessment test. In this video, I will share with you sample questions we see on the tests. I will have some questions for you to try, and I'll show you tips, tricks, and hacks on how to get ready and pass the test. I will also share with you some additional test resources that might benefit you and might help you to get ready for the test quickly.
Let's look at the sample question. How many squares are in this picture? And you have four choices: 16, 29, 30, or 32. Do you think you know the answer?
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Vadim Michalenko, and I have MBA and master's degree in computer science. I have been helping people for more than 25 years to get hired and find jobs. I have founded howtoanalyzedata.net website with only intent to help people get employment. This site helped a lot of people, and I'm pretty sure it will help you as well.
In this video tutorial, you will have everything you need to get ready and pass the test. I'll show you sample test questions with answers and explanations. I will have practice questions for you to answer. I'll share with you tips, tricks, hacks, and techniques that work now to get you ready for the test. And I'll share with you some additional test resources to get you prepared quickly. And now, let's go ahead and jump right to the questions. And now, let's look at the question which confused tons of people during the test. How many squares are in this picture? And you have choices of 16, 29, 30, and 32. Which one do you think is right? The confusion part of this question comes with the fact that squares are not only the small squares that's shown in the picture. So if you do only small squares, the answer would be 16. But you can have this area as a square, you can have this area as a square, and large area is also a square. So once you calculate all of those, you will get to the correct answer. And the correct answer is 30, because there are 16 small squares, 9 squares which would be created using 4 small squares, 4 squares which can be created using 9 small squares, and 1 big square. So that when we come out with the answer 30. So you kind of have to know how to calculate it a little bit, but this question we see a lot as part of numerical reasoning tests and psychometric tests. So I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared.
Let me share with you some information that you probably don't know.
Based on our recent research, most assessment test providers deduct points for incorrect answers. So it is not a good idea to guess answers during the test. You can ask the provider to see how they handle incorrect answers. If they deduct points for incorrect answers, you might consider skipping the questions where you do not know the answers to. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Let's look at another tricky question. Which one of the 4 are the least like the other 3? And then we need to choose the correct answer: tiger, cow, rabbit, or deer. Which one do you think is right? The tricky part of this question is that all of these animals are mammals. But there are 3 animals, cow, rabbit, and deer, that eat grass. And tiger is a predator. So the correct answer is A, which is tiger. So hopefully you've got this one right. It's a tricky one, and it tests your knowledge of exclusion, meaning that you need to read the test question correctly, and then you need to find out the correct choice. Hopefully you've got this one right.
A lot of students ask me, what are the smartest ways to learn? Let's look at the different options available to you.
Let me share with you some ways to learn new material that work for me. I typically use dedicated, uninterrupted chunks of time to read and practice new material. When my attention drifts, I try to take a break, and I typically do it every 25 to 30 minutes. I recommend that you download workbooks to practice the hands-on steps, which helps you reinforce the steps and better learn the material. When I try to learn something, I try to watch videos from start to finish in one sitting. I use different playback speed to make sure the material keeps me engaged. I also try to give myself time to absorb the content. And if something is not clear, I try to pause the video, and sometimes I even go back to review material more than once. Let's look at the question you might get as part of the interviewing with financial organizations. If exchange rate for US dollars is an equivalent of 0.62 euros, how many euros can you buy for $200? And there are four choices: 188 euros, 88 euros, 124 euros, and 176 euros. Which one do you think is right? A lot of times when answering this question, you may not have access to the calculator. So you may need to do the math in your head. To do the math in your head, the easiest way is to do it for $100. For $100, you'll be able to buy 62 euros. Then for $200, you'll be able to purchase double of that, which is 62 multiplied by 2, which equals 224. Let's recap. To answer this question, you need to multiply 200 by 0.62, which is an equivalent of 124. So choice D is the right answer. I'm pretty sure you nailed this question. And now it's your turn. Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Here's the question for you to answer. Find the missing value using the pattern. And you have pattern of numbers 1, 2, 2, 4, 8, value that's missing, and then 256. You need to choose one from the list. And the choices are 20, 32, 64, and 144. What do you think is the right answer here? Please make sure to post your answer in the comment section below this video so I can give you the grade. Now let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of charts and graphs, math reasoning, and logical reasoning. Approximately, what percentage of jewelry sales in October were bracelets? And you're presented with the graph, which has 4 sections. Each section has 2 bars. Each bar represents monthly sales. Blue bar represents April sales for different types of jewelry. And orange bar represents October sales for the same jewelry. For example, for bracelets, April sales are approximately 125 items versus October sales are approximately 80 items. You have 4 choices to answer this question. Around 11%, choice B around 18%, around 25%, or around 40%. So how would you approach this question? Which one do you think is the right answer? To answer this question, you need to add up all jewelry sales for October and then understand what percentage of those were bracelets. For example, for earrings, the value is about 125. Same thing for necklaces. For rings, it's about 110, and for bracelets, it's about 80. Let's add up all these values in the calculator. The total number for October sales of jewelry is 440 items. Now we need to divide 80, which are the bracelet sales, by 440 and multiply by 100. The answer is about 18, which means that sales of bracelets are about 18% for October. Let's recap. Based on the bar graph, sales of bracelets are represented by the red bar. We do not have precise figures for the sales, so we need to approximate the numbers. Based on the graph, the approximate number of items sold in October are about 125 earrings, about 125 necklaces, and about 110 rings, plus about 80 bracelets. Total of 440 items. To calculate the percentage of bracelets sold, we need to divide 80 by 440 and multiply by 100. The number of bracelets sold in October represented by about 18%. Hopefully you've got this one correctly, as this question involved a lot of calculations.
A lot of students ask me, how can I learn quickly? Let's look at all different options based on recent scientific research.
One of the most effective ways to learn we recommend to our students is a mixed mode learning. You use a variety of different resources during mixed mode learning and alternate between them to ensure better comprehension of the material. For example, if you're trying to get ready for Excel assessment test, you can start by watching YouTube videos, then practice the steps in Microsoft Excel, read related topics in the ebook, and then experiment with a variety of questions during practice test. Now let's look at the question, find the missing value using the pattern. you see the 3 by 3 box, and one of the values in this box is missing. So what is the pattern? And there are 4 choices. We have A, B, C, and D, right? And obviously you would have to find the pattern and calculate the value. So what do you guys think is the right answer here? Before I reveal the right answer, let me try to discuss with you the pattern. So you see 1, 2, and 3, right? But then this one, 2, 4, and 6. So it's not sequential, so it's not like you go 1 plus 1 equals 2 plus 1 equals 3. There is a different type of pattern here. And the right pattern here is that 1 plus 2 equals 3, right? And then 2 plus 4 equals 6. And once you know the pattern, you can easily calculate that 3 plus 6 equals 9. So the right answer here is choice C. Let's validate. And you're absolutely right. The right choice is choice C, and this is exactly the logic that I just presented to you. Hopefully you've got this one right.
People contact me and ask what's changed during COVID-19. Let's look at the changes in employment assessment test process that have happened recently.
One of the biggest changes is the fact that a lot of people work remotely, which means a lot of hiring also happening remotely. Provider might ask you to install special software to monitor your desktop activities. They might also ask you to enable your camera to see what you're doing during the test. Another big shift we see is that the questions become more relevant to the position. For example, if you're applying for accountant or bookkeeper job, make sure you know how to import the data, do profit and loss reports, calculate the expenses, and calculate the annual statements. These are the types of questions that you might see for that specific position. Researching the company and researching the test provider always works for our students. Once you know who the provider is, you can try to go to their website to see the sample questions to get an idea what kind of questions you're going to get on the test. It is always a good idea to refresh your hands-on skills and practice before the test. This gives you necessary boost of confidence and allows to pass the test with the higher grade. If you didn't pass the test, make sure to reflect after it. Take notes and develop an action plan to see what the next steps might be to get you the job. Now let's look at another pattern type question. Which number should come next in the pattern? And then you have pattern of numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. So let's first determine what's the pattern here. Obviously there are 4 choices, but the result here is calculated based on the pattern that we would need to determine. Which one do you guys think is the right one here? Well, let's look. So we have 1, 1, and then 1 plus 1 equals 2, then 1 plus 2 equals 3, then we have 2 plus 3 equals 5, and then you can kind of keep going. So to calculate the next number, it's basically the sum of the previous 2 numbers. So 8 plus 13 is 21. So the right choice here is choice B, which is 21. And this is the explanation that the pattern here is really the sum of previous 2 numbers. Hopefully you've got this one right.
There are different types of assessment tests that you might see as part of the hiring process. Let's take a look at the most common options that you might encounter.
Most common tests that you see as part of the hiring process are aptitude test, psychometric test, numerical reasoning test, logical reasoning test, math reasoning tests, charts and graphs reasoning test, abstract reasoning test, and a lot of others. Sometimes companies also would like to test your technical knowledge based on the job that you're applying for. You might encounter Microsoft Excel test, Microsoft Word test, Outlook, PowerPoint, and a lot of other different tests that might be required for you to succeed on your job. Let's look at the question which is frequently used when you're applying for the jobs with financial companies. Insurance company offers money if the vehicle is stolen, but the percentage of reimbursement is different based on a table. How much will customer get for the vehicle with fair market value of $2,000 in year 1 but was stolen in the 3rd year after insuring? You have a table and it shows that percentage deduction in 1st year there is no deduction. After 1 year there is a 10% deduction. After 2 years 25, and after 3 years 40%. And you have 4 choices: $500, $1,000, $1,500, and $2,000. Which one do you think is right choice here? Let's look at how you would approach answering this question. After 2 years, you would have to deduct 25% of the original cost of the vehicle. 25% of $2,000 is $500. So $2,000 minus $500 that you would have to deduct would be $1,500 reimbursement that you can get from insurance company. Let's recap. The vehicle is stolen in the third year after 2 years. Insurance company will deduct 25% of initial value, and 25% of initial value is $500. Company will deduct $500 and offer you $1,500. So the correct choice is answer C. Hopefully you've got this one right. But in case you need to practice more with similar questions, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using link in the description of this video.
One of the best ways to learn is try to test your knowledge periodically. I encourage you to participate in our daily question challenge.
Every day we post a new question in the community section of the channel. You have an opportunity to test your knowledge and validate your skills on the different topics. This is one additional reason to subscribe to the channel, because this way all the questions will be delivered to you automatically. Now let's look at the question which is very frequently used as part of aptitude tests when you're applying for the position in financial industry, especially in the banking and insurance industries. If €1 is worth 1.18 US dollars, what is the exchange rate of converting US dollars to euros? You have 4 choices here: 0.83, 0.79, 0.78, and 0.84. How would you calculate this? Let's see if you can nail this question. To get to the correct answer, we need to reverse the exchange rate. If exchange rate for converting euros to dollars is 1.18, then exchange rate of converting dollars to euros must be 1 divided by 1.18, which is an equivalent of 0.847. So the correct answer here is D. I would imagine that you've answered this question correctly, but in case you need to practice more with similar questions, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using link in the description of this video.
A lot of people ask me, how can I help? One of the best ways to help others on this channel is to help answer their questions. If you see questions on this channel that you know the answer to, please make sure to post your answer. This way, you will help another person to get hired.
Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Now let's look at the very complex question which you see a lot during logical reasoning tests, psychometric tests, and the numerical reasoning tests. Find the correct shape to continue the series. And what we have here, we have 3 by 3 matrix with 8 shapes populated and 1 shape is missing. There are 4 choices as usual, but in order for you to calculate the right shape, you need to determine the pattern. And in fact, there are 2 patterns here on this screen. Can you figure it out? Do you know what the right answer is? As I mentioned, there are 2 patterns here. One is there is a pattern for the shape. Which shape would you choose? And second pattern is the pattern for the lines. And where is the right location for the line itself? Now let's go through the detection of the shape pattern first. So the shape pattern is triangle, square, and then the circle, right? So triangle, square, and then next one would be the circle. So we have a circle, that's the right value here, but all of this are the circles. So this was helpful, but not by much. But it just tells us that we are detecting the first pattern. And here, if you want to confirm, we have square, circle, and then triangle. Now, the most important part here is to determine on which side of the shape the lines should be located. And what we have here, we have 4 locations, as you can see in the answer. 1 location on the top, right, left, and bottom. So how would you know where's the right location for the circle shape? So let's look closely here and let's detect the pattern here for the line location. The line location starts with the bottom, right, and then top. So you see it's going counterclockwise. So if you imagine the clock with the clockwise rotation, then this would be counterclockwise. And let's see if we are correct and we have a pattern here. So we have bottom, right, top. Then we have left, bottom, so that still matches the counterclockwise pattern. And then we have left, bottom, right. So I think the missing shape here would be the one before the left, which would be on the top. So the right answer in this case would be A, because here we have a circle which matches the circle's pattern, and then we have lines located at the top. Let's verify to confirm that. And as you can see, the correct answer is A. So let's recap. There are two patterns you need to detect in this assignment: patterns for the shapes and pattern for the line location. Shapes are displayed in the particular order: triangle, square, circle. That's really the pattern for the shapes. And pattern for lines are in a counterclockwise order. So correct answer is A. Hopefully you've got this one right. You will see a lot of these types of questions in the assessment test.
If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this, and we'll make sure that you get it in the future.
Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Let's look at the question which you might get when applying for banking positions, insurance companies positions, or any other position within financial industry. What is the profit in US dollars at the end of week 4 if a buyer buys 100 pounds in week 1 and converts back to US dollars in week 4? You have 4 different choices presented: A, B, C, and D, and then you have a table. Conversion rate between pounds and dollars for 4 weeks. In week 1, the conversion rate is 1.29, and in week 4, the conversion rate is 1.3132. Which one do you think is the right answer here? To get to the right answer, you need to calculate the values, the total sum of US dollars in week 1, and then you need to convert it back to US dollars in week 4. Ultimately, week 2 and week 3 values are irrelevant here because you're holding through weeks 2 and week 3. And this is how you do the calculation. In week 1, you need 129 US dollars to buy 100 pounds. And value of 100 pounds in week 4 is $131.32. So the profit will be calculated as the difference between 131.32 and 129.8, and would be equivalent of $1.52. So the correct answer is C here. I hope you've got this one right, but in case you need to practice more, make sure to download my ebook with more practice questions using the link in the description of this video.
Can I ask you to do me a favor? If you recently passed the employment assessment test, please share the questions that are being asked during the test. This will help all of us learn and better prepare for the upcoming test.
Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Now let's look at the reasoning question where you need to complete the sentence. Read below sentence and give the correct answer. Book is to reading as fork is to, and then you need to pick one of the 4 choices: painting, writing, eating, and lifting. So what do you think is the right choice? I think it's pretty obvious here. But let's look at the right answer. So the correct answer is obviously eating, right? Because book is to reading. This is an activity associated with reading, as fork is to eating. You use fork during the meal consumption. So the correct choice is C. And that's because forks are used during dining and meal consumption. Hopefully you've got this one right.
Let me give you a tip on how to plan your time during the test.
As you're probably well aware, most of the assessment tests are timed. One thing you can do to increase your chances of passing the test is to calculate how much time would you have per question. For example, if you have 50 questions that you need to complete in 60 minutes, you can do a quick math in your head. By dividing 60 by 50, it will give you the answers that you need about 1.2 minutes per question, which is an equivalent of 72 seconds per question. Having this information handy will tell you how much time you need to allocate per each question. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Now let's look at the question where you tested not just how well you know English, but also how well can you operate with the letters and take guesses based on the questions asked. A lot of times this types of questions used in the verbal reasoning tests and in a lot of other tests as well. For example, psychometric tests or logic reasoning tests. These types of questions we see all the time. So the question, which of the following can be arranged to a 5-letter English word? And there are 4 choices with 5 letters of the words, and you kind of would need to look at each choice and you would need to take a guess which one would be the one which leads to a specific English word. And obviously nobody gives you the English word, so you would have to take a guess on the word and combine these letters so they will be represented by the specific English word. So which one do you think is the right choice? A couple suggestions here. You see choice A has inside of these letters English word goat. So typically it's the wrong choice because typically you wouldn't be able to easily rearrange this word into something else. Typically, and again, it's only typically, but you would want to start with the letter somewhere in the middle. And the right choice here is choice B, and it's the word shape. That's really the word, that the end result of it. You don't have a way of knowing, right, because you don't know what the end word is. So you would have to look realistically at all the different choices and see if you can combine them. But I would start with the middle letter, because typically they try to trick you, and first letter is typically not the one that starts this new word. So find more exercises like this. This one was tricky. This one was difficult. Very few people guess it right. But it takes practice to get these types of questions correctly. So make sure Google or find on the internet these types of verbal reasoning questions and see if you can get better at this.
In addition to showing you questions and answers from the real test, I also have questions for you to answer.
Most of the videos on this channel have practice questions for you to answer. Please make sure to post your answers in the comment section of the video. This will allow me to validate your answer and give you the grade. Now let's continue and get you ready for the assessment test. Let's look at the question which tests your knowledge of logical reasoning and how well you can apply this knowledge to charts and graphs. Review the graph in the picture and answer the question. During which period did the revenue of the company declines? There is a picture represented here with two lines, one blue line that shows revenue, and then the orange line which shows the cost. The period is from 2013 to 2020, and you have four choices to select from: 2014 to 2015, 2019 to 2020, 2013 to 2014, and 2016 to 2017. Which one do you think is right? To answer this question correctly, you need to differentiate between revenue and the cost. Because revenue is represented by blue line, you have to follow the blue line to answer the question in which period revenue declines. If you follow the line, you see that for all the years, with the exception of period of 2014 to 2015, right here, the line goes up. And only for the period 2014 to 2015, revenue declines. So that is the correct choice, and that is the correct answer. Now let's recap. The line graph shows the revenue and costs of a small company between the periods of 2014 and 2020. To estimate the changes, you need to find the spot on the line which goes down. Only place when line goes down is between the years of 2014 and 2015. Therefore, choice A, which shows 2014 to 2015, is the right answer for this question. Hopefully you got this one right.
Thanks for watching. I encourage you to check out our daily question challenge in the community section of this channel. I also recommend that you check downloads in the description section of this video. Please also check out resources page on our website, howtoanalyzedata.net/resources. If you like the content, please give this video a big thumbs up. This tells us that you need more content like this. I would encourage you to share this video with other people that might be looking for the job. This will help them to get prepared and pass assessment test faster. Please consider subscribing and following this channel. We have a community of great people helping each other to get ready and pass the test. Please leave questions, comments, or suggestions in the comment section of this video. And all the best on your interview and assessment test. Thanks for watching.